Alright guys, welcome back. This is Rebuild episode 1, and in this episode we are going to be attaching the front A-arms to the bulkhead. Now first off, if you're doing a build like this, what I like to do is get one of these assortable containers, and this is how I assort all my screws. Always want to stay organized. So what we're going to need is a small pin shaft to connect the A-arms to the bulkhead. Once you find the correct steel pin screws, you can see the little threads there at the end, then you need to attach the A-arms to the bulkhead. Now once your A-arms are connected to the bulkhead, now you could take the front shock tower and connect it to the bulkhead. Alright guys, now once that is complete, if you want to, you can either do two things at this point. You can either put on your front shocks, or you could put on your cluster blocks. For us, in the episode today, we're going to go ahead and install our front suspension shocks. So we're going to take our stock Traxxas shocks, and you're also going to need a couple of things. And so once we get those parts, I'll show you what you need and we'll continue the build. Okay, now since we have the top shock bracer, the bottom shock stop, and a shock spacer, we're also going to need springs. Usually they are a lot longer in these, but I've cut and modified these shock springs to coils. If I believe I already have a video out there on that. If not, please let me know in a comment or on the Facebook channel that I have mentioned earlier in a previous video, and go ahead and message me some way and I will explain how you do that. So I went ahead and did one off video, and now I'm going to show you how I put them together. I am also running no shock oil. It's another mod that I do for less suspension. If I need a little extra, I'll throw water in it instead of oil. So I put my shock spacer on first, then my upper shock holder, just like so, just slide it over. And then I'm going to take my spring on the cut edge and I'm going to slide it down onto the top. You'll need to compress the spring, and then once that is on, you're going to need to take your bottom shock stop and not drop it like that. You take your bottom shock stop and you're going to put it on the shaft and push it up on to the edge of the eyelet, and then you're going to set your spring on it, and your spring and shocks are done. Now they are ready to install into the front suspension. Now if you can see, I've already went ahead and attached one side on to the A-arm and the upper shock tower, the front shock tower. Now what you're going to need for this is you're going to need a small shoulder screw. You're going to shove it through the top eyelet of the shock cap. Then you have a black spacer that is going to go on the back side of the shoulder screw after you already put it on the shock, like so. Now once you have that done, you're going to want to attach that to the upper post of the shock tower. Now once you have that done, I like to keep it just enough to where there's no friction in the moving. Now for the bottom side, there are two holes. Can't really see them, they're there. There are two holes in the front shock tower, or not shock tower, front A-arm, excuse me. One for a higher stance and one for a much softer stance. I'm actually going to set it up for this stiffer stance, so I'm going to go with the first hole coming from the bulkhead. And that is it, guys. That is it for this video. We have installed the front two A-arms to the bulkhead, We installed the front shock tower as well as the front shocks. So stay in tune for rebuild episode 2.